Welcome to Livestock Podcast, sponsored by the University of Tennessee Beef and Forage Center. I'm Bruno Pedreira, Center Director and UT Extension Forage Specialist. I'm here today with Dr. Katie Mason again for our last podcast of the year. 2025 is about to be gone. I don't think it's done, but it's about to be gone. How are you doing today, Katie?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here, excited to wrap up the year, and glad that we're having a little bit of sun, even if we have cold weather.
Yeah. I can tell you, I'm missing that. Well, we are very excited today because not only because we have the last podcast of the year, but because we have with us Dr. Hannah Wright-Smith, our new wheat science extension specialist with the Department of Plant Sciences, someone that I have been personally waiting for a while to be on that position. You all know I'm not a wheat scientist. I've been trying to do my best on the forage wheat science of it. But Hannah is here to help us to take care of those weeds in the state of Tennessee. So Hannah, it's really nice to have you around. Welcome to the Livestock Podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Bruno. I think the only person who was more excited, and I was pretty dang excited to be here, was you. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I may cross over into that forage side, but people ask me a weed question, and I say I'm an animal scientist. I don't know anything about weeds. But just to get us started here, Hannah, we're really excited to have you, and you just want to start by telling us a little bit about your background and what led you to this position.
Yeah, so I grew up on a small family farm that was really more of a glorified garden that we called a farm in North Georgia, Western South Carolina. So if you're in East Tennessee, if you're in Knoxville, it's about 3 hours south of here. And then from there, I went to Mississippi State and studied ag business. And then had a couple of internships and experiences that said I really am interested in the crop protection side.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the University of Arkansas and got my master's degree in crop science, studying weed science. My background there, I worked in row crops, but my specific projects were in rice. And then from there, I figured I wasn't done yet. There's a little more to learn. And so I went to the University of Georgia for my PhD. Also in crop science, in weed science, and I had projects in cotton, vegetables, and small grains. And then from there, I got a job at the University of Arkansas with a majority extension and some research appointment. And I covered turf, vegetation management, and specialty crops.
All the things.
So all the things, basically everything but row crops. And that let me kind of introduced me to the forage side of things, and that was something that really interested me there. And so when the opportunity came to apply for this position, which was forages and horticultural crop weed control, I was super interested in the position itself, in Tennessee as a whole, and then personally, it got me back closer to family. So.
Yeah, no, we're. I can tell you guys know how much excited I am about all of this, and it's really nice to learn from you and know that you have this broad background. So you have been with us for 2 months now, 2 months and a half, and we were able to see how much you can help us with all of the issues we have in Tennessee. And that's what I want to get into now. You only have been here for 2 months in the position, but you are from 3 hours from here, so you know the area, you have been around. What are some of the challenges and opportunities for a weed science specialist working in Tennessee from your point of view at this point?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to give one of those fun answers that's maybe a non-answer but I think the opportunity is that this position has been open for quite a while.
Yes. Dr. Newrod's retired a few years ago.
Yeah. And so it's been open with no one to fill it, answer the questions, and fulfill that need. Plus, it's kind of two positions merged into one with the horticultural side. So the opportunities are pretty wide open in terms of what anything that I can do and talk about and say. For me, though, that presents a bit of a challenge because I do have this broad background trying to focus in and not just try to put out fires from the past few years of not having this position filled, but yes, answering those questions, but making sure that we keep moving forward. And so, hearing all the questions that I'm being asked, kind of compiling them and saying, what are people really asking here? Are they really asking what herbicide can I use to spray buttercup? Or are they really saying, the herbicide that I'm using or the time that I'm spraying is not working. Can you give me a recommendation that's a little bit more precise? And so I think the challenge will be to hear all of these questions, hear all of these comments, and synthesize them and apply them in a way that's good for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that's a great perspective, thinking about, you know, we have these recommendations that should apply, right? But it's very much in the context of that producer's operation and how they actually apply that principle, right? So thinking about that and sort of the grand scheme of things, we always, you know, we have an extension audience, a producer audience. And so we, you know, as specialists, will have our kind of top few things that we tell people. Like mine is, you know, get your hay tested or get your soil tested or read the label or whatever. So tell us about, you know, just some general principles for how people can better manage their pastures and really make efficient use of the input or the dollars that they're using to do that.
Yeah, so my first thing, and you know, I don't think it's going to be a surprise, might be a disappointment to some people, but all the things that Bruno is telling you to do are going to be really the first line of defense in managing weeds, and that's really how you're going to get
your grass growing first.
that's really how you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Grow good grass, and then we can manage weeds. So if you are going to use herbicides, let's make sure that we're timing them well. So it's much easier to control weeds when they're small. So if we think about our cool season or our winter annual weeds, the fall is going to be when they're the smallest. It's going to be the easiest time to control. I think we're probably a little past a good window, especially temperature wise. It's been pretty chilly lately. It's going to be pretty cold the next few days.
That's a good example, because one of the questions we've received is how can I kill buttercup? And it's always in the end of the summer when we see those yellow flowers everywhere, right? So what can we do to not get to that point? I think that's one of the questions.
And so that's, I think a few weeks ago, I asked people, you know, how many of you have buttercup every year? How many of you are surprised that you have it every year? Weeds are not, they don't behave quite like insects or pathogens. If you have them in your field, unless you do something different to change the trajectory or to change the composition, you're going to still have that weed in the next year. So if you have buttercup in one year, please don't be surprised that you're going to have it again in the next year and the following year, unless you do something different and change your management. So for winter weeds like plantain or like buttercup, in the fall is a great time. We're probably a little late now, closer to Thanksgiving, sometime mid to late November. We usually have enough warm days. We usually have enough dry days where we can get in the field and apply our herbicides. For summer weeds, if we can get in the field in June, I tend to recommend June, but the earliest you can get in the field in the summer is going to be better than July or August.
A lot of the questions I have as well, and I think you can help us here, is when we have grass in grass, right? And then we get like foxtail, broom sedge, Johnson grass, and some of our fescue pastures. How do you see all of this in Tennessee, assuming that we are here in the middle, right, at the heart of the fescue belt?
That's a good question. I don't have great answers for you. Controlling a grass in a grass is really difficult already. Controlling a grass, especially a summer grass like a foxtail, is really difficult in a cool season grass. So we have herbicide options that are available in something like Bermuda grass, which is a warm season.
Which we have some in Tennessee, especially in the southern board of the states, right?
Yes, and there's some good options for folks who are growing Bermuda grass. We have very, very few options in fescue, so we're going to rely really heavily on making sure that we maintain our stand, that we are doing what we can to keep maintaining it and growing good grass in those fields.
And how about for the longer run, right? One of the things that I like to talk with producers is they're not here, you know, they didn't start yesterday and they won't quit tomorrow. How do you see the long-term weed management if you are a producer that you don't plan to sell your property?
Yeah, so during my PhD, my PhD advisor was from a bicentennial farm, so a 200-year-old farm. It was very cool. And his whole point for any of the recommendations that he gave was for the survivability of the family farm. And so that is something that I keep in mind when I make recommendations here as well. Yeah, so again, growing good grass. You have to think of yourself not only as, as a cattle producer, you have to think of yourself as a forage producer as well. Without that kind of mindset, it's going to be a constant fight. But if you think of yourself as a forage producer as well, I think it lends itself to having more longevity and you being able to pass that farm, down to your kids or your grandkids in the best shape that you can possibly have it.
Yeah, I think that goes along with that definition of sustainability, right? We think about sustainability in terms of like input and output and how we balance those, and we think a lot about environmental and those kinds of things, but sustaining this farm for generations or over time is really the heart of all of those decisions, right? So how do we keep this going for a long time? And so I think that really falls right into that.
That's right.
I think we have been discussing a lot about technology as well. How do you see we using technology? We talk a little bit about drones and things like this. How do you see this coming into the weed science area when we were talking towards beef producers?
Yeah, so Bruno really set me up with a softball for that one. If you'd asked me this question a couple of months ago, my answer would have been totally different. But I think adoption of technology isn't getting any lower. I think we're going to see increased adoption. We're going to see it increasing at an increasing rate, so faster adoption. So me, for example, if we use drones as an example, me saying, well, I don't have enough information on that, I don't recommend it, isn't going to work because folks are going to do what they need to do and they're going to use this technology. And so how can I generate the data and make better recommendations so that people can use the technology so that we have it in the long run so that we can still have these tools for their kids, for their grandkids when we do pass these farms on.
Yeah, I think most of the times the technology comes first, right? And then we need to learn how to
have to learn how to use
it.
Yeah.
And what are the hiccups, or sometimes we just don't know how to handle it.
Right.
But I think that's the reason we are all here as extension specialists, to make sure that everything that's new and pops up, we'll get into this and learning, even to say don't use it. If we don't have research-based data to support all of those decisions, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's our whole, purpose of extension is how can we, do some applied research? How can we do some demonstration behind these things to make sure that, we're supporting producers in that use of technology, even if they've adopted it before we knew all the details, right? So maybe leading into the next question here, thinking about those opportunities, what are kind of the big 3 things that you want to focus on in the next few years in this position?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the drone one has really been occupying a lot of my thoughts lately. Surprisingly, again, if you had asked me even a couple months ago when I first started, that would not have been at the top of my brain. But I think certainly utilizing drone technology for sprayers, utilizing just any new technology, like where you can fly a drone and it looks at weeds and identifies them in the field and to make precision applications. I think that's going to come as well. So the technology is a big one. And then I think the tried and true weed science of how do we, or refining when do I apply this herbicide, right? So when do I apply Duracor? When do I apply Grazon? What are the specific scenarios? And so kind of narrowing that window down instead of saying, oh, the fall is a great time for buttercup control, really, saying I think in maybe central and east Tennessee, you really should be thinking about November, early November, and maybe in West Tennessee or Southwest Tennessee, you can maybe get away with something in December. So trying to refine that timing.
Yeah, Tennessee is a long state, so things change from here in the east to the west side.
That's right. I guess the third thing, hopefully looking at different herbicides. I'm hopeful that new active ingredients are gonna come on the market
Yeah.
and new herbicides will become available. But making sure that we are utilizing what we have the best we can. And then evaluating that new stuff so that when it does hit the market, I say, you know, we have data from Tennessee. This is where it fits. This is my recommendation.
That's great. That's great. Well, Hannah, again, I think we are very happy to have you around. I want to let you guys know that we are planning already a series of the Master Forestry Program tours for next year. Those two will be with us on the road, not for all of them, but Hannah will be in most of them. We are putting together this forage management team here to be able to serve better Tennessee producers, livestock producers, hay producers. I think that's the main goal, is to help you guys to handle whatever are the problems you have and try to find the answers that we still don't have in Tennessee. So it's been a real pleasure to have you around here in our livestock podcast. We are very happy to have a new weed specialist in the team with us. So thank you so much for joining us today and join University of Tennessee in this journey from now on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think that's all we have, and we really appreciate you tuning in. And so we hope that you'll tune in next time for another insightful conversation.